Okay. Point slope form. Does anybody remember what point slope form looks like? Or let's jump back. What was slope intercept form that we talked about yesterday? Y equals mx plus b. Okay. So point slope form, we don't know the y-intercept, but we know a point and a slope. So does nobody remember it? You're thinking, but not quite where we are. Here's the first part of it. The first part's y minus y1. Hang on, let's close up the computer a little bit. Okay. First part's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So that's point slope form. Okay. Within that, m is still the slope, and the point x1, y1 is a point that line goes through. So it's an ordered pair for a point that line passes through. Okay. Notice nowhere does it say anything about the y and the x representing anything. Those are going to stay as variables. Okay, we're not plugging anything in for those at the moment. All right. So if I want to write an equation for the line that has a slope of -3 and passes through the point 1, -2, how's that going to look? Well, my point is x1, y1. My slope, my m is -3. So I'm just going to plug in what I know now. So y minus a -2 equals -3 times x minus 1. So there's the equation. Now, everything on there, the -2 came from right there. The -3 came from right there. And the 1 came from right there. So what can I do to make that equation look a little bit better? Subtract something. A lot of times, the multiple choice questions especially are going to ask you to write these in slope-intercept form, so they want y by itself. So a couple things that need to happen for me to do that. First, I need to distribute that -3. Okay. Within that, what do I need to do here? What's this minus a -2 end up being? Yeah, it ends up being y plus 2. So I'm going to rewrite this as y plus 2 equals -3 times x is -3x. -3 times -1 is a +3.
Is it x minus 1?
Yes.
Is it -1?
It's a -1, but a -1 and a -1 are pretty much the same. It means the same thing. So I distributed the -3. I multiplied it by the x and by the -1. And I changed the minus and -2 to +2. Okay, the last thing to do to get the y by itself is to subtract that 2. That leaves me with y equals. And then if I subtract 2 from the left, I've also got to subtract 2 from the right side. And notice I put it under the +3, not underneath the -3x. Because I can't add -3x and the -2. So y equals -3x plus 1. And there's that equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point 1, -2 with a slope of -3. questions. So those of y'all that have paper, try to write an equation for that one at the bottom there. If you don't have paper, see if you can borrow half a sheet from somebody next to you. Yep. The point is -3, 4, and the slope is 1/2.
I got it.
I'm gonna go back up so you can have that point slope form up there. Okay. On this one, the point is -3, 4. So I'm going to try to convince you to go ahead and at the point, write down the x1 and the y1 below it or above it, so that you do know which point or which letter goes where. I know that's not what a lot of you want to do because you don't like any extra step possible, but sometimes you have to do that. And then we're going to plug stuff into that equation just like we did earlier. So I got y minus y1 this time is 4 equals m is 1/2 times x minus x1, which is -3. So my initial equation should look like that. Y minus 4 equals 1/2 times x minus a -3. Now my next step, I'm going to move out to the side over here, because what I'm going to do is just change the minus a -3 to x plus 3. So y minus 4 equals 1/2 times x plus 3. And now I'm going to do the next two steps. I'm going to distribute the 1/2, and then I'm going to get rid of that -4 from the y side. Okay. So start out by distributing the 1/2. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 times 3 is 3/2. You just multiply the 3 times the 1 and leave the 2 on the bottom. Most of y'all, when you use a calculator, will get 1.5 instead of 3/2, and that is okay. Of course, a lot of times if you plug 1/2 as a fraction in, it'll give you a fraction answer. So it might give you 3/2. Okay, and then what else do I need to do? I need to add 4 to get rid of that -4. So plus 4, and I get y equals 1/2 x plus 11/2, which if you're doing it in decimals would be 5.5. So y equals 1/2 x plus 5.5, or plus 11/2. I rewrote 4 as 8/2, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then I added the 3 and became that. Again, in your calculator, you just put 3/2 plus 4. So you got that thing. Okay, questions on that one?
So I put it at my, I give my different way. Can I say what you got like y minus -3 equals 4 and 1/2 in parentheses? Can I still get it something like that?
No, you didn't. Because the y has to go with the 4. If the y is not with the 4, then it's not done correctly. It's y minus y1, and y1 is 4. You can't put the 3 with the y.
So I just had to switch the 3 and 4 too.
You just put them where they go. Make sure the m is in front of the parentheses. So the 1/2 has to be in front of the parentheses. All right, we're going to do this one together. Same kind of problem. Remember to label x1, y1. So again, y minus 4, because y1 is 4, equals m is 2/3, x minus 9, because x1 is 9. So it's just plugging in where x1, y1, and m go. And the same process on this. Distribute the 2/3. 2/3 times x is 2/3 x. And does anyone know how to multiply 2/3 and 9 together pretty quickly?
Divide the 9, make it really much.
Yeah, the 9. If you take the 9 and divide it by that 3, you get 3. And then you multiply by the 2, so that ends up being minus 6. Good job, Victor. And then the last step is to add the 4. So y equals 2/3 x minus 2. All right. Now there is one different kind of problem dealing with the same stuff. What's different about this problem than the ones we've been doing? Yeah. Do you see a slope up there? No, it doesn't give you the slope. But instead of 1 point, it gives you how many points? 2. 2 points. So if I'm going to do that, if I've got 2 points, I label one of them as x1, y1. What do I label the other one as? x2, y2. So if we're dealing with point slope form, I need to know what the slope is. So how do you find the slope if you're given 2 points? Hey, let's use the slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I can plug this in real easy here. y2 is 3 minus y1 is 1 over x2 is negative 2 minus x1 is 4. So that's 2 over negative 6, which is negative 1/3. And now you have your slope, and you have 2 points. You can choose whichever point you want to choose. But we'll just choose this one since I've already labeled it with x1 and y1. So I'll say y minus 1 equals negative 1/3 times x minus 4. So I plugged in the point 4, 1 and the slope of negative 1/3 into that equation. And now I'll just get y by itself, the same process we've been doing. So if you want to just work it out on your own while I'm up here working it out, you can. Just don't watch what I'm doing. So distributing the negative 1/3 and then adding the 1. And to get the 7, I rewrote 1 as 3 over 3 and added the 4/3 and the 3/3. And there is my equation. So that is point slope form.